So Eric, we just got out of a whole season. I mean, it's like 20 weeks.
That's a long season.
Yeah, it is. For Daily Thunder, well, we're about to head into another 20-week season, so maybe that's normal anymore. But we just came out of a season of walking through 3 different series for Daily Thunder. You want to talk about the one that you and Leslie were doing?
Yeah, so Leslie and I did a series called, I was going to say Citizenship. We did not do one called Citizenship.
Was a great series.
It was. It was a very good series. Maybe we should talk about that one. No, 30 years, and it was a retrospect where we walked through the 30 years of life together in ministry and in family, and wow, it was such a beautiful process for us. I think we were going through something with our family at the same time. We've been going through sort of doing the same thing, just in a different layering with our family, sharing stories that they've never heard, going through old pictures. Like we got this huge box out, Hudson scanned them all in, so we now have them in our Google Photos. And it's like just rekindling so much of what God did, and so many deep memories are coming back. We walked through each of our adoption stories, just a lot of beautiful things in our love story, our ministry that flowed out of that. And so I would highly encourage someone to go back and listen to that series. Very, very profound.
What's interesting is you didn't just talk about all the good stuff. You actually talked about some of the difficulties and the struggles, and how that actually is what strengthens and actually has helped you go the distance. So it's not just like, oh, let's talk about all the butterflies and the sunflowers and the rainbows and the Skittles falling from the sky. It's like, let's just actually talk about the prison cells and the difficulties and the trials, because that's actually what strengthens you.
Basically every one of the episodes is the difficulties, because that's most of our lives are actual challenge that God is converting. The greatest moments of growth are not in the easy moments. They're in the hard moments, and giving them to God and seeing him overcome. That's the thrill of the adventure. I mean, what a boring movie it's going to be if you just watch a guy sitting in his chair reading a book. You want to see that guy get knocked over, have a bomb land on his house and he has to dive out. You want to see him overcome obstacle. You don't want to see a guy just sort of sit there. And I think our life and what makes our 30 years is tremendous challenge met with tremendous grace.
Yeah. That's so beautiful. I was walking in my Daily Thunder series, Building Up the Body. We were looking at Ephesians 4 and 5, how Jesus is the standard and measurement of the church, and what does that mean practically for how we live. It was really fun to actually move forward in my Ephesians series.
So describe, for those that don't know, how long have you spent time in Ephesians?
A long time. Actually, this summer will be 20 years.
20 years.
But in all fairness, it's not like every single day I'm studying Ephesians, right? And technically, I had studied up through the middle of chapter 5 over the course of about 15 years, and then we started Daily Thunder. So I was like, well, I don't have all my early stuff. I'd love to just go back and record it.
Yeah.
So I started over, and so now I'm almost back to where I stopped. So I'm almost to like all the new stuff. So even though I've been restudying and I've been learning so much more, and it's been deeper and more beautiful.
That's a neat
statement. This is still sort of review for me, even though it's all brand new and fresh. It's hard to describe that.
If someone wanted to go through all of your Ephesians stuff, where are the access points right now? I know some of it's in Daily Thunder, but is there one spot?
Yeah, so I do have a separate podcast that's just my Bible study in Ephesians. So it has like all 130 or whatever episodes or studies. They're still coming out. There's also on YouTube. I could put a link for that in the show notes. But
that's great.
But yeah, I have them all curated together. That way you don't have to try to search them down in 10 different places.
So your 130, that's worse than my World War II 93 episodes.
I think the one I'm recording tonight is 137.
Wow.
So
that's well done.
We're at the beginning of chapter 5. So
that's great.
We'll see where it goes.
So then we also had Citizenship, which do you want to try and comment on Citizenship? Remember, this was our now, Leslie and I sort of did it too, but it's like this transition to at least dip our toe in the idea of a long-form podcast, which we jokingly say is shorter than our normal.
But what we mean by that is, like we used to, we've had podcasts where we're sitting in the studio and we don't usually have our laptops out. Mm-hmm. We've thought through a concept. It's like, okay, let's talk about this. Let's reference this. Let's mention this passage, even though we won't get it verbatim. And we have like a 20-minute discussion. And the idea is like, well, let's remove the pressure off of that. Let's not spend so much time prepping on the front end. Let's be able to have our computers so we can read passages and have some notes, and then let's just have a discussion. And so we jumped into what really actually scared me when we first started this. Not even the long form didn't scare me. It was the concept of let's talk about the socio-political reality of our current state, and then, or of our nation, and then let's talk about that in relationship to Scripture. And I'm like, I am not an expert in the socio-political. I'm purposely trying not to pay attention to what is going around. I've already got too much stuff on my mind, and just studies and whatnot. But what ended up happening, I think it was so beautiful, just like, okay, here's what's going on, and let's just show how this is a parallel to our spiritual lives. And it was actually a really neat process.
We had multiple times where we would take an idea, whether it's, say, immigration, or the deportations of immigrants, and we would then say, let's run that through the biblical mill. Let's actually evaluate this scripturally instead of as a Republican or as a Democrat. That's the danger that we fall into, is we have almost like a prepackaged response to something taking place based on a political vantage point instead of a biblical one. And so there's a lot of fascinating messages. I mean, I can think of like the Overton window. That was a very, very interesting one. Can you think of any other ones that stood out?
It was the one like right after that, but I don't remember what it's called.
It must have been good.
It was so profound. Well, your titles are ones that I have a hard time
remembering
or saying. Yes. Well, virtue signaling I thought was really fascinating.
Oh yeah, that was. The derangement syndromes. Because I'm guessing we mentioned Trump derangement syndrome in that, which is fascinating.
So there's been some really neat just concepts.
Yeah.
But for me, I think it's been really neat to just let God analyze my soul in all of this, but from a whole different angle, and just using what you can almost visually see in the socio-political world of like, okay, that actually is going on in my life in a spiritual sense. Lord, you're going to have to correct this.
I really enjoyed it. And even though we've joked about the fact that, okay, we're trying to create a natural conversation, because that was the goal. One of our previous producers, James, was like, the best stuff you guys say is when the microphones are off and you guys are just talking. I want to record that. We're like, I don't know. How does that work? And so now we're trying to recreate that, whatever that is. And so we act like there's not an audience out there, and we're just talking. Right?
Well, and it's very common that we stand like this on this side of the table. But Jesus did that with the disciples, right? Where at the Last Supper, he's like, okay, guys, everyone on this side of the table for the pitcher, And so maybe it's common that you have conversations on one side of the table.
That's true. I mean, we usually do stand about a foot apart.
Right.
Yeah, this is very awkward.
Yeah, it looks natural on the camera.
Yeah, it does.
But when you're here, it's like, hello, nice breath this morning. And,
yeah, but all in all, even with all the awkwardness in there, it really has been a fun process, very easy compared to some of our other models of communication and preparation. Like our preparations for this are purposely minimal so that we can sort of draw something to the surface while we're talking.
Just allow the Spirit to lead it. So it'll be fun.
Yeah.
Once we're heading into our training season, right? So we have students coming in a few weeks. And we're going to have a summer semester, a week long, and a fall, which people are still interested in coming for discipleship. We'd love for them to consider one of those programs. And one of the things that we do in that season is we shift our Daily Thunder model, where you're usually teaching twice a week. I'm teaching once a week. We do it with our students in the morning. And so it kind of changes things up. And then we'll reset come late fall, like October, November. So we're taking 2 weeks off. In part.
Oh, that sounds fun, doesn't it?
Just one so we can prep and so that we can get ready for the students and that kind of stuff. But middle of June, we're starting our new series, and we're launching 2 brand new series.
Oh, wow.
And I think, should we debut them? We were hinting at them the other day.
We probably should, because otherwise people are going to just, not tune in. They'll just get mad at us.
That would be horrible. Just kidding. You want to talk about the series that you're coming out with?
Sure. So it's called, shocker, Spiritual Lessons.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Never heard this before.
Spiritual Lessons from the Wright brothers. So it's a personal thing too.
Wait. For those who are like,
who are the Wright brothers?
And how are they not wrong? So like, could you, for someone who's like listening,
Wright, W-R-I-G-H-T, Wright brothers, not the opposite of the Wrong brothers, but they're the ones that invented mechanized flight, and sort of were the first ones to actually pull it off. And it happened, and I've grown up knowing this, it happened on December 17th, 1903, but December 17th is my birthday. So I've always felt a tie to this event. And so we'll see how that plays out when I spend literally a whole training season unpacking it. But it is at first that could sound like, well, how exciting could that be? It is so profound what these two are going to go through to overcome. I mean, just as I'll give a hint on one point. In 1903, which is, of course, December 17th, 1903 is the day this is finally going to happen at Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. Multiple scientists are going to go on record, like the big name scientists, and say that human flight will actually never happen. It has been scientifically proven that all of you that are risking your life and killing yourself to try and figure it out, you might as well give up. This is not going to happen. And so just to show you at the point in which this is taking place, it's at the point where it reached impossible. And these two...
You should have said just at the point it was about to take off.
Oh, yeah. That's good. But you said it.
You're welcome.
It is... It is a really stirring story as far as how we function in faith and how we walk through the impossibilities and how we keep pressing forward even when the natural realm opposes and when the experts in this natural realm declare it to be impossible. So it's a profound storyline.
I'm so excited. It's going to be really good. My series, I'm calling it The Awful Fear of the Lord.
Oh, wow.
Doesn't that sound fun?
Yeah,
I'm so excited. Awe, I mean like full of awe, like awful, like the original.
So, but do we still spell it awful, like AWFUL?
Uh-huh. Isn't that cool?
Just to sort of throw, people are like, what is that?
Yeah, well, that's the ancient spelling. I mean, or at least that's what I could find online. But the idea is, like, I've had a lot of conversations over the last months, years, people who are like, could you describe fear of the Lord? And I'm doing my best, and I'm like, I don't know if I understand it well enough.
Yeah.
And it's so profound that as I've been reading through Scripture multiple times this year, that it's like these statements are standing out, and I'm like, without having it, there's all these problems. Having it, there's all these blessings.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I just want to spend a season and just for my own sake, study it, just so I can have vernacular. Mm-hmm. And what I've noticed over the last several student semester Daily Thunder series, that series has always been so deeply impactful, and it helps crystallize and form articulation in my own soul. Mm-hmm. And anyway, so I'm working through the fear of the Lord, and just been pondering it a lot over the last several months. And so really excited just to jump into the fear of the Lord. And what does it mean practically for our life? And why is this actually a blessing? And if you don't have it, I actually don't know if you'll go the distance in Christianity. There's just a lot of nuance that has just been really powerful. But then also just how does that relate to this idea of awe? Mm-hmm. Because if we're going to walk in the fear of the Lord, there is a trembling, there is a sense of fear, but there is also this overwhelming sense of awe. And so what does it mean to live in a constant state of it, like the awful fear of the Lord? Yeah. And so where it's going to go, I have no idea. I'm just trusting
Jesus. Super exciting. I actually think that issue of the fear of God, I think, well, you, me, and Philip as pastors have all felt like that is this missing ingredient in the Church of Jesus Christ today. It returns and we skyrocket in effectiveness. If it continues to remain absent, we are in trouble.
Do you want to hint at what may be also?
Yeah, we mentioned, I think, probably throughout this time that we actually took apart our studio that we've met in many times. If you go back in the Daily Thunder archives, you're going to see us sitting in two blue chairs.
With a cool mountain scene out the window.
Yeah, it's a beautiful scene out the back. We took apart our entire studio and we've turned it into 3 office spaces, which is sort of like, wait a minute. What happened to your studio? How could you do this without a studio? Well, on the other side of the wall, which is my office, we have a whole wall full of windows. And so we've designed that to be a studio, but it's a natural light studio. It's a very unusual kind of studio. And we've been running experiments on it to see how it's working. And Leslie's she's doing a whole online training series called Honorable Womanhood in there. And it's actually looks beautiful. And so that was, of course, the goal. And now we're, being able to test it, and it's really looking nice. I'm wanting to start something that maybe we introduce in the Daily Thunder program over the training season. But if you say, when does it start? Does it start right when the training season starts? I don't know. And that's where we want to use the word soon.
Coming this summer.
Coming
God
soon.
willing.
Yes. Yeah. And since God's ability to use the word soon can stretch, maybe ours can too. But I'm hoping to start at the beginning. We'll see. I don't know. But it's more of a personable podcast model where I'm speaking straight to the camera, very different than this. And they're very short, but they're just pithy, profound thoughts. So we'll see. That's one of the things I'm toying with as well. So not that I don't have enough on my plate, so I'd like to add more. But I guess that's part of the blessing of being alive on earth with limited time and saying, Lord, I want to be fully used and fully given to whatever purpose you have. So
That's really good. So all that being said, we're taking 2 weeks off. All new Daily Thunder stuff starts mid-June. I'm very, very excited.
yeah, well, I'm excited to see what God has in store.
Amen.